Good morning, good evening, hello class. I'm here, I'm Mr. Steve Sorensen. I'm here to do the CLC group of Southwest Airlines. Southwest Airlines was formed in 1971. It was started out as Texas, and now it has domestically grown into 42 states, and slowly but surely it's starting to go into different regions of the world and do popular vacation sports. Southwest's state mission statement is to connect people what is essential through friendly and reliable low-cost air travel. And it is Southwest's goal to be the world's most loved and efficient, profitable airline. One of the things that they are is they're really well known for their airline and customer service, and they're ranked really high on the JD Power Awards every single year. Through the competitive matrix, we see that the airline industry is very competitive in the United States. They have American Airlines, they have Delta, and they have other competition. The competitive matrix compares firms with their rivals. A CPM uses quantitative and qualitative data and weights to the company's strengths. Southwest prides itself on low airfare, low operating costs, and excellent customer service. One of the things they do is they keep their low costs very low, and they like to have the same airplane and aircraft to make sure that it's easy to train its employees and it's easy to do maintenance as well. Historical ratios often help to evaluate companies with their performance within the same industry. Ratios help measure the relationships between one or two parts of the financial statements. As stated before, the pandemic really took a hammering on the airline industry because it was hard to send up planes when there was a deadly virus around, and Southwest didn't want to. They had to comply with the U.S. government, and not only that, it's kind of hard to do that when everyone's kind of trapped in the little aircraft when virus is going around. So, as you can see, it seems like that and this ratio is that the airline industry itself is starting to pick up where it was in 2019. It's going to be a slow, but surely it's going to start to grow back and go back to where it was as the restrictions start to decline. All right. Internal evaluation matrix. Southwest Airlines made $977 million, which was favorable compared to the $3 billion loss in 2020. Southwest was possible because they had to take a federal payroll assistance. So because they took the federal payroll assistance, they did not have to take out a government loan. Or, I'm sorry, they didn't have to profit as a loss. So that's kind of a good thing, because one of the things that Southwest prides itself on is community and culture, and they like to keep their employees employed. They haven't been laid off in the 50 years it's been open, and they also ensure that they didn't get furloughed either. So other airlines did furlough and lay off, but Southwest Airlines has yet to do that, because that's kind of something that Herb Keller, the co-founder, decided to do. Is he said that it is important to make the employees and treat them like customers, so then they come back the next day. So the external factor, there's a lot of things that are going externally with the airline industry, as we say. There's going to be a fuel line is going up with the fuel line prices because of the global war with Russia and Ukraine, and the prices of fuel are starting to go up. So there's a lot of opportunities and growth they could do. Like, for instance, one of the things that Southwest Airlines has been doing is they've been researching green alternative fuels so they could lower the cost and keep the cost down using corn stock, which I thought was very fascinating. And they also wanted to make sure that the planes inside between customers are clean, so that people and its customers do not get sick for their employees and don't spread diseases around. So that's a good thing. They teamed up with Stanford University to do that. And back on the environmental, they're trying to get carbon neutral by 2030 or 2050. I'm sorry. SWOT analysis, I always find, is like one of the bigger things to start. It's not way to end, but it also looks the internal and internal and external weaknesses and opportunities and threats. It begins the point of future strategies. Southwest has an excellent brand awareness, and people really like them. And they actually expanded into my hometown of Syracuse a few months ago. I have yet to try them, but maybe I'm interested in such. One of the big problems that they have, and this is with almost all industries, is labor shortages. Southwest Airlines is still running short-staffed, and that's a problem and a huge issue because they're running short-staffed. It's going to get a lot of wear and tear. A lot of flights are getting canceled and rescheduled, so it's going to hurt their customer service ratings. And also the pilots are starting to pick it too because they're getting tired of the work-life balance of everything's getting rescheduled and whatnot. So it's going to be really interesting to see what happens there. This is one of my favorite parts, is the Boston Consulting Group. It's a tool that lets know where it stands with its rivals. The BSG uses assets of this country to determine how to allocate its resources more effectively. One of the things that we decided as a group that Southwest should do is they should reallocate some of its passenger funds and start to do more freight. Freight's expected to grow in the next few years from air because air is travel faster than land or sea or by train. And on top of that, some companies will pay a little extra just to make sure that their supplies are in gear. So it's expected to grow. So one thing that we kind of suggested is if they were to go partner with a company like FedEx or UPS or even the United States Postal Service or even Amazon, something like that to help bring up the freight and have more untapped potential and revenue. The internal matrix analyzes the firm's performance and diverse by utilizing different quadrants. Southwest gets a lot of its revenue from domestic travel. However, it's getting into foreign travel. And one of the things that we suggested, or I suggest to do, is Southwest is known to grow very slowly. And that's kind of since the founder of Herb Keller. They started just in Texas, and then they gradually grew into bigger and better things. What I would suggest them to do is, keep with a slow and gradual growth, and maybe go start having bigger markets and put them in bigger cities in like Canada, like Quebec, Montreal, Toronto, Calgary, and Vancouver. And another thing I'd do is probably besides just nice vacation things, resorts, put them in different parts of like very popular big metropolitan areas in Mexico, like Monterrey and Mexico City. I think that'd help with the brand awareness and potentially get more revenue. Now, the space matrix helps the company analyze what technique to do. So looking where it is right now, it's going to be aggressive. And again, with the aggressive being, that's where I kind of think that they should start tapping in potential bigger cities into Canada and Mexico. The Grand Matrix uses a grand strategy. Grand strategy uses different markets and developing, integrating horizontally and diversifying business. Southwest Passenger Division will surely grow, according to the IBS, and the airline industry is supposed to grow by 0.3 over the next 5 years, which, as everybody was cooped up in their homes, they're going to want to travel a lot more, go to their Disney World trips that they had to cancel and whatnot. Quantitative strategic planning matrix. It takes all the previous strategies and applies them into the plan of actions. One suggested plan was to use the revenue again to go and freight and generate the most incomes. Marketing expenses. One of the cool things about Southwest, and something that I've always remembered even as a young lad, was the whole using humor to sell their brand. Like, want to go somewhere, like something like a mailbox falls over, big thing happens, and they're always humor. Herb Keller always wanted to add humor to the marketing and advertising because makes it more memorable, and it puts the customers into ease. As we can see in the market expenses between 2020, there wasn't really many, but in 2022 and 2021, it's starting to increase more. So we're going to see a lot more advertising increasing in the marketing now that people have more money and the restrictions are to go down. Perceptual maps is a tool that companies can look at and perceive its brands. Southwest's most significant appeal to the commuter is they're affordable and their excellent customer service. By having very low airfares, it makes it more appealing to a lot more people than just, uh, upper class people. And Temkin experience rating, 33.9% participants had believed that Southwest customer service was excellent. So that's just something really to be prideful of. And organizational chart, it's kind of like flat. Employees are empowered to directly connect with the CEO will have a problem or question or solution. Southwest has a vision of doing not a traditional hierarchy, because that's kind of the way they want to do it, but there are department leaders and they're all one team. One of the things we proposed is to remove redundant executive titles such as vice presidents, executive officers, and one title to the area of focus. Overall, the proposed organizational chart would maintain a functional organizational approach that aligns with the current CEO of Southwest Airlines. The EBIT is a tool that decides how to make the most suitable way to raise capital with either stock or a mixture of both. EBTIS has its limitations because, for instance, interest rates can go high and stocks can rise. It's kind of weird how we kind of are in a recession. I'd actually suggest for us to start to pay down the debt, as we saw the NASDAQ go down a few points for the few days now. And they want to pay off that PPP loan, and Southwest, as tradition, does not like to have a lot of debt. And the projected ratios are kind of like weather reports. They kind of are there to predict minor recommendations and implementations. So it's kind of assumed that, without restrictions, Southwest Airlines is going to have more of a revenue than it did in 2020. More people are going to want to travel. However, the recession may hinder some of it. So we're going to see what happens in the next few years. The retained earnings shows how much money is available to the company after all expenses and obligations. Southwest has some obligations with Boeing, for instance. They pay about a couple $1 billion a year for more planes. Southwest Airlines has not paid dividends for a while. It's projected that Southwest will start paying dividends, and it will help with shareholder relationships. Company valuation is basically a company's worth. It's kind of a little, not really scientific. It's because some parts of the business like to, sell high and buy low. So one thing it could do is it could combine little parts of the company and make it run a lot more efficiently. And yeah, sometimes, corporate valuation can mislead, as Southwest competitors do make more revenue, but Southwest has better ratio and they are more profitable. Recommended strategies is, again, like I said, use more loyalty rewards programs, credit card agreements with third parties, and financing. A second recommended strategy, it would also be foreign traveling, which would raise brand awareness from abroad. And there we go.